the Ryan Hardy that we met in season 1 was dark, he was damaged, he had a lot to work through. Where do we find him in season 2?
Well,
having gone through everything in season 1, is he in a better place?
Yes, but I think one of the cool things that happens at the premiere of the first episode this year is that we take the scene that we ended last year and we continue it, because it wasn't the full scene. What ended up on the air was not the full scene. There was a lot of discussion about where in that scene they were going to cut out. So we did shoot more, and you find out what happens to Claire, and you find out what happens to the Molly character, who was my next door neighbor, who I was having this kind of thing with. And then we jump ahead a year, and you see a very different guy, a guy who has walked away from the case, he's walked away from the FBI, he is healthy, his heart is working, he's running and sober.
For now, or do you feel like
now,
for a while?
Yeah. Well, it goes south pretty quickly. I mean, the thing is that there is something that's really thematic, which is this idea of masks,
right?
And literal masks, also the figurative masks that some of us keep. It's kind of like somebody that has a secret. Let's say they're a movie star, and they've got a secret that they've always kept with themselves. But when they're out there in the public eye, they have to keep this kind of mask, and that's got to be a difficult thing, I think, to live with day in and day out. Ryan Hardy has this new Ryan Hardy is a bit of a mask, because he tells everybody that he has stepped away from the case. He's no longer obsessed with Joe Carroll, that he doesn't want to be involved with the FBI, you know what I mean, all this kind of stuff. It's not exactly the truth.
Now, how have you approached the character? Are there little ticks or little traits that you're giving him this season to kind of tip just how damaged he may still be, even though he's wearing this mask?
It's all about putting the work, the backstory, the fear and the sadness into your gut, for whatever that means, and hoping that it comes out through your eyes. That's really the way I approach it. If I put it here, I hope it comes out here, and you sort of have to trust that it is sometimes, because I'm a little bit more, especially with a character like Ryan Hardy. I think it's important to not to telegraph everything, you know what I mean? And I think that's the difference sometimes between good television, good movies, and good acting, and other stuff. Is that things are telegraphed. We're told often, these guys are in love, or he hates this guy. It's better to kind of keep things held back a little, especially with this kind of character.
Right. Now, you mentioned that we'll see more of the scene from the finale to see what happens to Claire and the neighbor. I mean, but even if there is a resolution, are there still room in the season to learn things about the past, the flashbacks, for example, from season 1? Is there still room to learn things about characters like Claire and Joe that he had no idea, even though he's in a different position in the story?
I think there definitely is. And we will find out a lot about Joe.
How much
specifically? And I think there's a little bit more that we're learning this year in flashback about Joe than about Ryan. But we're on episode 10 out of 15. And Kev will, always comes up with stuff that I don't see coming. It comes out of the blue, and you never know.
How much does that then change Ryan's approach to these things that are coming up out of the past? Are they bringing him back to some of that darkness, or is he able to kind of go with them, and he almost expects them at this point and can adjust quickly?
Well, life is dark, and I'll tell you why. Because even though he is teaching, running, feeling good, it really is still all about this obsession, and he's obsessed with the fact that he doesn't think that Joe's actually dead. And he feels very alone in that opinion, including from the people that he loves, Mike Weston and his niece, the FBI in general. Like, nobody is really on board with this idea. So that's kind of a lonely place to be. On top of everything, now there's a new cult. Now there's new murders. Now there's people that aren't Joe Carroll, that are being inspired by him, and that is he will always feel responsibility for this.
Right.
You know, that's part of his albatross is just this, you know, guilt. You know,
Right.
he's a guilty guy.
And you mentioned obviously bringing his niece in. We met the sister in the first season. What does the addition of the niece do for the character? What kind of dynamics are we going to see that are different?
Well, family is family, you know, and family is such a powerful. Like, certainly for me, as a father and somebody who's very, very close to my family, very close to my wife's family, it just gives you stuff. You know? I mean, and it's also it speaks very much to where he's at. Because if you remember from last year, we met the sister, but
Right.
I kind of pushed her away. You know, it was like you know, they kidnapped her. She was in peril, and of course I was insane to get her, you know, to get her out of peril. But once I did, she was kind of like, you know, well, maybe we could hang out. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and you know, a big part of that is that I feel like I'm afraid. I feel like I'm afraid that whoever is around me is going to get hurt.
Okay.
You know, people that are around me get hurt.
Right.
I'm surrounded by death, and now I have opened up myself slowly, gently to the influence of my niece. It's my brother's daughter.
Right.
My brother was killed in 9/11. He was a fireman, and she's become NYPD, and she's a lot like me. I mean, except she's much more healthier. I mean, mentally healthier.
It looks that way, but who knows?
Right.
You know, who really knows?
Right. It is the following. But she's tough, and she can fight, you know, and she's dedicated and doesn't roll over easily, you know.
Right.
So it's nice to see, and it's also kind of fun because we get a chance to show sort of familial, you know, avuncular kind of affection, but it speaks a lot to his character to see how he does that. You know what I mean? It's not real, like, on the nose. It's a little bit. It takes him a while to kind of come around. It doesn't come to him easily. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.